Welcome back to Blender Cheat Sheets, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the first two tutorials as just a very quick overview of what Blender Cheat Sheets can offer you. Blender Cheat Sheets sits inside of Blender so that you never have to read a PDF, open another page. It's right in front of you. So by now, if you want to install the add-on, please visit GitHub and find my handle, Dead Dog Down, and you'll see a couple of add-ons that I've provided to the community for free, especially for newbies who need to really get in the fundamentals of 3D language. So by now you know how to open up your end panel if you've already installed it. I'm not going to show you the really obvious stuff because by now you've seen it so many times it should be second nature. In this specific section we're going to be going over the basics of transform, and this is going to be a very brief tutorial. What I've done in the transform section, first off right at the top, is on certain sections you'll notice that there is this little line right at the top to indicate whether or not you've got a object selected. And this is very useful, especially when you're getting to ropes with Blender, trying to figure out how Blender works and how Blender thinks. It'll only turn red when you've got an object selected, and generally it's only when you've made a selection that a tool will be able to be used. But this is just a reminder. So for instance, if I've got nothing selected and I try to press G, nothing's happening. If I press R, nothing's happening. If I press S, nothing's happening. No object selected. Obviously it means I've got to select an object first, then G will be able to be used, R will be able to be used, and S will be able to be used. So this is a reminder for the newbies specifically. Make sure that you've got the correct object selected before you try to use a tool. Otherwise you're going to be scratching your brain wondering why it's not working. So these three are very self-explanatory, and they are a kind of a duplication of these at the top. But I felt it was important for 3D language to group these clearly at the top so that you can see the relationship and the core functionality between object mode and edit mode. In transform, this is specifically about the general transforming of one object to another place or one vertice to another place. So for instance, if I go into, and I'm going to do the manual way, I go into edit mode, and now I click G. I can move all of those vertices at once. I can transform them to another place, or I can do it that way too. I can rotate. You won't see it with one vertex. I'm going to have to select two vertices to do rotate. I can rotate two vertices. I can scale those two vertices. How many ever vertices I choose, these transform functions will work. But transform is also a little bit of a murky section for me because there's some other more subtler aspects of transforming that you don't normally associate with transform, like for instance toggle proportional editing. So the way for me to show you this is I'm still in edit mode. I'm going to turn proportional editing on. You'll see it highlight up here. Blender doesn't always toggle buttons on in their state, and this is a common thing that we have to live with Blender. So when you toggle a button in the add-on, you won't always see it maintain its state. You might see it highlight on the actual in the actual UI instead. But anyway, now that it's enabled, what I want to do is I want to take that specific vertice, and I've got proportional editing now enabled, and I want to, let's say for instance I want to grab that vertice. Now straight away you see a circle. That circle size will respond to your mouse wheel. There's my mouse wheel forward, there's my mouse wheel backwards. Now what is that doing? That's changing the amount of influence that that drag is going to have. So if I make that circle very small and I drag, it only affects that specific vertice. But now let me do it again. I'm going to escape, press G again, roll my wheel backwards so it overlaps some other vertices, and then start dragging. And now you see, okay, the other vertices are starting to respond with it. This is called proportional editing. It influences the other vertices inside of that circle. This is very useful specifically if you've got a mesh, an organic mesh that is a little bit too deformed, and instead of modifying each vertex one by one, you can see that there's general regions of vertices that you can kind of manipulate together. It helps you to smooth out an organic mesh very nicely versus having to do the per vertex operation on every single vertex in a flawed mesh. Okay, that's a general overview, and we're almost done with this small tutorial. The next one is Smart Snap. By default, I'm going to turn proportional editing off. By default, the snaps in Blender are set per increment, but this for some newbies is a little bit unintuitive because you don't always want to snap to increment. You want to snap to vertice when you are modeling something. I'm not really interested in snapping to my grid. What I'm interested in doing is I want to snap that vertice to that vertice. So for instance, if I grab it right now, you can see nothing's happening. And that's the default operation of Blender, which is not very nice for newbies. So if you've enabled snapping and you want to quickly set up snapping so it's a little bit more friendly for vertice to vertice snapping, just hit Smart Snap. And that'll pre-configure snapping so that it is vertice focused, closest, include active, include edited, move, and it locks to itself as well. Which means that if I now hold my cursor near to that vertice, I press G, now it follows where my cursor is, but as I get close to the next vertice, it'll snap to that vertice straight away. Just remember that whenever you are snapping vertices and you finalize that, you've got now two vertices overlapping each other. They don't automatically merge. So what you'd have to do is select them both and then press the M key and then decide how you want to merge that. Okay, let me undo that quickly, and now we're going to come to the last two little buttons inside of this transform section, and it's going to be a wrap for this tutorial in not even a minute or two. Smart Snap to vertex is basically what we already have, and this allows you to go from one vertice to another. But sometimes, did I just disable that? Yeah, there we go. Snap from one vertice to another. Now sometimes you want to snap that vertice to an edge. And so if you click on Smart Snap to Edge, now when you grab that, if you come close to the middle of an edge, that vertice will find its home there immediately. This is a simple way so that you can choose how you want to move a specific vertice relative to another vertice or relative to the middle of an edge to help you quickly position a vertice. This section is still a little bit in progress, so I'm going to be adding more functionality to this in future that really works. If you find some Smart Snap settings that you'd like to see, please feel free to send me a message, and I will see if it's worthwhile putting into the add-on. I hope that you liked the tutorial today. This is a very short one. It gives you just a very brief introduction to the transform section. In the next tutorial, we're going to be covering the 3D cursor, which has been evolved quite a bit. It adds new functionality that wasn't in Blender before, but also it helps you understand how versatile the 3D cursor can be. So please feel free to visit in the next tutorial. Visit github.com and find my handle deaddogdown if you want to download the add-on for free. I welcome your support because it takes a lot of time out of my day to redirect my focus away from my game design and to write a tool that's going to be GPL version 2 for life to the Blender community and to newbies. And also, please don't forget to support Blender. They've done a wonderful job of providing the software faithfully under GPL 2 for so long. I can only take my hat off to the Blender team. See you guys in the next one, and happy 3D creation.